Anvil is the type of band that you know what you're getting whenever they release a new album. These guys have been around a long time. They've been making music before some of the biggest named metal bands out there, like Metallica and Megadeth. And this is a band similar to a band like AC/DC, not in their sound, but in the way that when they release an album, you know what you're going to get. You're going to get straightforward, old school heavy metal. There won't be any surprises. They've been releasing the same album over and over for years, but for some reason they don't really get the respect that they deserve. And let's talk about that a little more. So if you're new here, this is JC Rock and Metal Reviews. My name is John. I recently put up a poll in my community tab asking you all what album I should be reviewing, and this one was tied with the new Evergrey album. I chose this one because I felt more comfortable reviewing this band. The other one I do need to give a few more listens to before I review it. So with that being said, let's talk about the album. So in this video, I will be reviewing the new Anvil album called Impact is Imminent. This is album number 19. And this band has been very consistent. The first album came out in 1981 called Hard and Heavy. And they have been releasing albums every like 1 to 4 years. And even in the 90s when heavy metal wasn't really that popular, they were putting out albums. They were putting out albums in the 2000s, in the 2010s. And this album is just coming out after like only 2 years after their last album called Legal at Last, released in 2020. That was an album celebrating legal marijuana in their home country of Canada. So in this day and age, it's very impressive for a band to be releasing an album only like 2 years after their last one. You know, that's something we don't get very often. And you can also tell Anvil's a band that they're very like set in their ways. They're not going to venture into any new metal subgenres or do any experimentation. You can even see that with the way like their albums are titled. Like every album is 3 words. The first and last words start with the same letter. So we have albums like Hard and Heavy, Metal on Metal, Forged in Fire, and so on. This band is basically composed of 2 high school friends, Steve Lips Kudrow and Rob Reiner. Over the years, they have played as a 4-piece and as a 3-piece. They had different members coming in and out, but Steve and Rob have always been the core of the band. These guys are just longtime friends. They started playing together in 1973. That's a really long time ago. I was literally like 2 years old when these guys started playing together. The band Anvil officially started in the year 1978, but at that time they were called Lips, and their second album, Metal on Metal, was released actually before Metallica's Kill 'Em All, but that is possibly like one of the first thrash metal albums, or even being close to a thrash metal album. And the band also had a documentary in 2009 called Anvil, the Story of Anvil, talking about they had great success in the 80s, but then faded into obscurity. It's a really good movie. Definitely recommend checking it out. So this brings us to Impact is Imminent, released on May 20th, 2022. 14 songs and 49 minutes. The album is just what you expect, old school heavy metal, not much different than anything they have been releasing over the past 40 years. I think the album in general doesn't really have any sort of a concept. It's just these guys are having fun, enjoying what they do. Some of the lyrics are dark. So take, for example, a song like Ghost Shadow with lyrics like coming after me, something you can see, feel a presence near, no shred of fear, I'm being followed by an entity, cloaked by invisibility. You got these lyrics, and then you have a song like Lockdown, talking about COVID and other songs of various topics. There are also 2 short instrumentals. The first one is called Teabag. I really don't know what the word teabag relates to the song, but another one is called Gomez, which is very different, strange, kind of like ska. They have like horns, but that's the only time they really venture away from their classic heavy metal sound. I really enjoyed the opening song, Take a Lesson. This one reminded me a lot of old school Twisted Sister, specifically their debut album, Under the Blade. Has Steve Lips Kudrow singing in a style reminding me of Dee Snider. I thought that was cool and something you don't hear often these days. Before I mentioned the song Ghost Shadow, this one's close to like a thrash metal. Reminds me of some classic Megadeth with the opening riff, and these guys are just having fun with this. And you hear lots of elements of classic heavy metal in the other songs. So, for example, Another Gunfight has some like slow, sustained power chords. Fire Rain has some classic heavy metal riffing similar to like Judas Priest, and the song Don't Look Back reminds me more of like 80s hair metal with like the cowbell in the drums. You get some classic heavy metal with Bad Side of Town and Someone to Hate. The song Wizard's Wand seems like something Ronnie James Dio would be singing. I thought that was pretty cool. The song Explosive Energy is just filled with 80s heavy metal riffs and just a fun song. The song Rabbit Hole takes you back to the early like 70s hard rock. I'm thinking of an artist like Ted Nugent, just high energy, just rock and roll, great guitar riffs. And finally, Shockwave. This one has some slower riffs and maybe something similar to like early Black Sabbath mixed with like a heavy metal style, with like an 80s style hair metal drums and the cowbell and a dark tone of the song. So yeah, this album is decent. I like the fact they're doing what they're doing. They play what they love. They're not trying to change their style or adapt to a modern sound. They're not trying to like impress you and just to change their style and do what's popular. These guys have been making music probably before a lot of you were born. So for that reason, it's nothing groundbreaking. It's just a fun, classic heavy metal album. And these guys are just doing what they're doing. I'm pretty sure these guys have another 10 albums left in them before they call it quits. That's all. I'll give this one a 7 out of 10. It's decent, it's fun, it's enjoyable, and that's pretty much all. Let me know in the comments what you thought. Like I said before, I did a post on my community tab, and it was this one and the Evergreen album. They were a tie. I chose this one. I felt that I needed some more listens with the Evergreen album. So I'll have that one out tomorrow and anyway, remember, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.